Our story begins in the Gotham Royal Theater. Built 4 years ago in the aftermath of Gotham's 0 year, the designer went to great expense to build an elaborate harness for the god Apollo to descend onto the stage and give the people of Gotham a feeling of being saved. Bruce Wayne undergoes a terrible vision of dying based on a new fear gas made by the Scarecrow. He's brought out of the hallucination and checks out a new base in the heart of Gotham City. He and Alfred joke around a bit and remark on the use of windows in the base, a first for Batman. Suddenly, Wonder Woman bursts in and violently attacks Bruce Wayne and refuses to listen to any reason. In a desperate maneuver, Batman is able to release a non-toxic gas in the city, granting him cover and the ability to access a high-tech suit designed specifically to fight the Justice League if needed. Unable to defeat Wonder Woman in direct combat, he instead uses a magical artifact to trick her into thinking that she has killed him. Alfred does not see anything on his radar. However, as he finishes his sentence, Bruce notices a red blur. In the next few moments, an automatic, billion-dollar computer program calculates the Flash's suboptimal movements and is able to knock him into a nearby building. Bruce is then confronted by Aquaman, but with quick thinking, Bruce is able to incapacitate him. Batman is then informed something big is coming his way, and suddenly he is knocked into the Gotham Royal Theater. Thinking back to the man who designed the theater, he says in truth that when gods come down, it's terrifying because you never know what they're gonna do. Bruce begs Clark to stop and asks who did this to him. Superman and the Justice League begin to laugh, and Batman realizes with horror who is responsible for this. He's back! The issue begins with another vision of Batman's death. This time, a mutated Killer Croc is attacking the Dark Knight. As Batman is pulled into the murky depths by other mutants, he reminds himself that they are just nightmares brought on by a strain of the Scarecrow's fear gas. But they sound real because of the same sound he always hears when he is close to death. When Batman is nearly dead or dying, he can always hear the city itself mocking him. Who do you think you were? What did you think you were? It is a sound Batman is afraid will really be there in the end. The sound of cold, empty laughter. In the Gotham Theater, Superman has been fully taken by the Joker's fear toxin. In spite of Batman's pleas, Clark Kent is gone. All Batman sees in his friend now is glee. But Batman is not without his tricks. Activating a gauntlet in his right hand, Batman prepares for the fight of his life. The gauntlet contains pods, each holding microscopic red suns, collected from dead solar systems. With the gauntlet's power, Batman is able to knock Superman into the city streets. Bruce's suit is equipped with plasma shields to deflect heat vision, and thermal systems to counteract any frost breath. The Caped Crusader is ready for this fight. But the suit was designed to fight Superman, a man with rules and lines he would never cross. Under the influence of the toxin, Superman has no qualms with collapsing a building directly on top of the Dark Knight. With Batman vulnerable, Superman lifts Batman high above the city and tears apart the battlesuit with his bare hands. Clark tells Batman that the Joker wants him to beg, but Batman responds by spitting in his friend's face using a gum laced with kryptonite. Who wins in a fight between Batman and Superman? The answer is always the same: neither of them. At his headquarters, Batman says the Justice League will be alright, but they are going to be incapacitated for the next week. The Joker is no doubt planning something big, as this leaves the world vulnerable without its usual heroes to protect it. Bruce wants to put Alfred into hiding, but the loyal butler won't hear of it, and demands to stay and help. Alfred's daughter also wants to help Batman, as she agreed to help for as long as her father remains injured. They considered what the Joker's next move might be, as the message from the first attack seems to be based on the idea of Batman's friends turned into enemies. Later, Batman comes to Arkham Asylum, recently destroyed in an earthquake. Batman remarks that this is the place, and not Crime Alley as some would believe, that he hates most in all of Gotham City. In a moment of anger and frustration, Batman tears down the bed in the Joker's old cell. Mr. Border, one of the employees at the new Arkham Manor, arrives and asks Batman if he is alright. Mr. Border wants to help, but Batman says that he can't, as the Joker is not crazy, but just evil. Mr. Border goes quiet and says that Batman may be right. The man wants to help and has tried to help for some time, but Border can see there's no helping the Dark Knight. He can't see a helping hand, even when it's right in front of him. The cell door slams shut. Mr. Border is revealed to be just another disguise of the Joker's using elaborate technology. Too late, Batman has realized his mistake. As gas pours into his cell, the Joker pulls out the gruesome remains of his old face and says he has a true tragedy planned this time around. Pulling out a pistol, the Joker says when all is said and done, everyone in Gotham will be laughing at Batman. Bam. Stare back at him. Stare back and tell yourself you're more than a man. You're better than this. You're not 32 and strapped to a chair, poisoned, paralyzed. He's just another criminal, and this is just another case. You know it, so see it. See it with no optical screens, no cowl. Stare. You can feel the pupils constricting in hatred, but fight it. Don't let it show even now, even as the grin spreads. In the Batcave, Bruce Wayne stands, tied to a chair and paralyzed. He is aware and awake, but can't move. With a roar, he manages to wake up and recover. Alfred and his daughter have brought him to Wayne Manor, which is currently being used as the new Arkham Asylum. They explain to Bruce that Gotham has been overrun by citizens infected with the Joker's new toxin. The police are losing ground and the situation looks grim. Batman says nothing is unkillable. Over the years, he has created hundreds of antidotes to the Joker's various fear toxins. But Alfred's daughter explains they've tried every single cure, and not one of them has come even close to destroying the toxin. Some sort of secret element, something that appears almost unnatural, is giving the virus remarkable resilience to being destroyed. Batman then asks to see the first case of the infection. Whoever it was walked into Gotham Presbyterian before the virus manifested itself, meaning they must have some kind of initial resistance to the virus. Batman sets out to the hospital, hoping to be able to synthesize a cure from this patient. On his way, he contacts Jim Gordon, and they tell each other what they know of the situation. Gordon says the virus seems to leave something of the person it infects, turning affection into hatred. Friends come after friends. Given what people feel about Batman, Bruce is likely to become the most hunted man in all of Gotham. Batman arrives at the hospital and begins to search for Patient Zero. Meanwhile, Jim Gordon begins to do some research on Gotham Presbyterian. He scoffs at the urban legend that the hospital is haunted, but as he looks over a picture of a fire that happened in 1910, he is disturbed to find an all-too-familiar face in one of the pictures. Jim Gordon drops his cigarette in shock. In 1946, some medicines were switched out with rat poison. Jim Gordon is again surprised to find the same familiar face. Bewildered, Jim Gordon begins rummaging around for an old picture of his children visiting the hospital. He sees in the picture a white arm reaches in from a nearby room. Gordon hears something come from his closet. He approaches with his gun drawn, but is knocked out by a spring-loaded trap. On the floor, two eyes appear from under the bed. At the hospital, Batman finds Patient Zero. Bruce is shocked to find it is none other than Joe Chill, the man who murdered his parents. He knows. A boy and his parents call out for help, and Batman realizes the Joker is recreating the night that made him into Batman. Under the influence of the toxin, Joe Chill is powerless, and though he begs someone to stop him, he approaches the couple with a gun. Meanwhile, the Joker is pleased and shows Gordon that he has all sorts of new material to test out. With the snap of his fingers and a little bit of gasoline and flint in his shoes, the Joker lights the apartment on fire. Simultaneously, Jim Gordon and Batman spring into action. Batman bursts into the room and dives into the way of the family, while Joker charges at Gordon with an axe, only to be shot in the chest by the Commissioner. Joe Chill is incapacitated, and Batman is able to save the boy, though his parents are taken by the virus. They begin to escape from the hospital, as Batman tries to ignore a ward full of infected infants. The babies are on IV and will be fine for hours. Jim contacts Batman and says he got the Joker. He's gone and was flesh and blood the whole time. There is no magic, there was no rebirth. As Gordon begins to have some hope once again, the Joker rises among the flames. Batman and the boy make it out of the hospital, but Bruce loses contact with Jim Gordon. On the other side of the line, he hears only 2 words. Hello, Bruce. Above the Foundry Square in Gotham, Batman flies with a boy he just rescued named Drew. The city has been infected by the Joker's fear toxin and has fallen to chaos. The Foundry Square sits at the center of Gotham, and, in spite of the rest of the city being remodeled and updated, the square's buildings have been preserved for 200 years. Jim Gordon lives here, as he likes the untouched history in this part of the city. Batman reflects that this has all changed as he arrives at Jim's apartment to find it on fire. The Dark Knight bursts into the building and hears Jim Gordon, only to find his longtime friend with an axe in his chest. Batman asks Drew for help, but the boy begins to panic at the dire situation. As Batman tries to calm the boy down, Jim Gordon rises from behind Batman. The Joker toxin has begun to affect the police commissioner, and though Jim tries to attack Batman with an axe, the commissioner is knocked out by Alfred's military-trained daughter, Julia. Julia informs Batman that further testing on the Joker's new virus has revealed that it causes cellular decay in its victims. Those infected will only have a limited time before they die, though Julia does not currently know how long that period is. She asks if things are usually like this in Gotham, but Batman says that this is a particularly ugly situation. Drew finds a first aid kit, and now, significantly more calm, gives it to Batman and expresses full confidence in Gotham's greatest hero fixing this mess. Drew and Julia leave to return to the base, while Batman secures Jim Gordon and begins to investigate the source of the virus. The Joker must have had help to do all of this, through his time disguised as a doctor in Arkham Asylum. Dick Grayson calls Batman and has returned to town to help the Dark Knight. As Batman is attacked by infected citizens of Gotham, the former Robin informs Batman that only one suspect was released by the Joker who could have helped with all of this. That man's name is Peter Decker, an old villain who is also known as Crazy Quilt. During this conversation, Batman is attacked by an infected soldier in a tank. Though he is nearly buried in rubble as a result, the Dark Knight manages to take the tank for himself and escape the civilians. Over the phone, Bruce tells Dick that the Joker knows his identity. Grayson grimly states that the Joker may have won. He can't be stopped. The virus has taken the city, and he knows Batman's identity. But Batman refuses to acknowledge that it's over. Dick says that he and his allies are here to help, but Batman says they need to stand down. In response, Grayson reminds Bruce that the last time he shunned his allies when the Joker was around, they were all nearly killed. But Batman doesn't intend to make the same mistake twice, and explains he just doesn't have a plan right now, and needs everyone to just be safe and ready to act. Bruce is having trouble coming up with a plan. They are treading unknown waters, and the Joker is behaving in a new way that is difficult to predict. Dr. Paul Decker spent a long time researching a process known as biological immortality. With a medical thread that the doctor developed, used in conjunction with gene therapy, Decker found a way to use these threads to preserve cells and keep them alive. Batman finds Decker's lab, but is attacked by the mad scientist. Crazy Quilt explains that the Joker came to him with the final piece of the formula the scientist has been looking for his entire life. Decker insists that something exists on Earth that can keep people alive forever. Adam Savage has been alive since the dawn of mankind, thanks to being exposed to this substance in its raw form. There's also a man, like a demon, who uses pits around the world to keep himself alive, though this appears to be a corrupted form of immortality. And finally, him. The link back to Gotham, the pale one who laughs, who encountered this substance long before Gotham was even founded. Batman manages to surprise Crazy Quilt and knocks him out of a window, pinning his quilt to the windowsill and demanding to know where the Joker got this substance. But Quilt says the substance is extinct and has been for centuries. All that is left is what is in the Joker's blood. Over the radio, Julia contacts Batman. The virus will kill everyone it infects in 24 hours, maybe less. She also ran facial recognition software on the Joker throughout Gotham's history. The villain is everywhere in Gotham that there's been a major tragedy over the last 200 years. It's possibly a trick, but if that's true, it has to be the best photo doctoring Julia has ever seen. Still hanging from the window, Decker reveals that he has a copy of the Immortality Serum, but Batman assumes this is a trick the Joker has played on the Doctor, and warns Crazy Quilt not to take the formula. But Decker refuses to listen and injects himself with the serum, only for his body to instantly decay and fall to the ground, dead. Batman has had it. This can't be real. Things can't and won't end this way. Julia asks where Bruce is going, and Batman says he has to do something he never thought he would have to do. Only one other group has been around since the very beginning of Gotham City. This faction is the only one with potential answers as to just how long the Joker has been around. Batman arrives at the Court of the Owls and wants to have a little talk about history. My enemies have a secret pact. They think I don't know about it, but I do. The pact is, on the day I die, they will shine the bat signal over the city. It was the Joker's idea. A light in the sky to commemorate me. A bat hanging upside down at rest. Seeing it now, I can't shake the feeling I'm dead already. Narrating my funeral from deep in the underworld. Batman stands before the Court of the Owls, who mock him and delight in their enemy learning of their return. But Bruce is unimpressed and says he lets the owls regrow and return exactly as much as the detective allows them to. But Batman isn't here for a fight, and instead is here for answers. The Joker's doctor claims to have harvested a substance from Gotham hundreds of years ago, and only the owls had the means and the desire to undertake such a task. Bruce wants to know if they found the Immortality Serum all those years ago, and if that's what they used to power their sinister operatives known as the Talons. The owls admit they did seek out this immortal substance, but all they ever found was a corrupted version. The serum, however impure, is sufficient enough to power their talons, but it is not nearly as undiluted as the substance within the Joker's blood. Batman asks for help, assuming the owls have as much to lose with the destruction of Gotham City as anyone else if the Joker is successful with his plans. But the owls are not threatened by this. They direct Batman's attention up to an inverted model of the city. The owls build everything upside down here, before they erect anything in the actual Gotham City, to remind themselves that Gotham is greater than anyone in the court. The clown can burn the city to the ground. The owls will simply rebuild a more pure and cleansed city on top of its ashes. Realizing he will get no help here, Batman angrily destroys the model and brings it crashing down on the court. The Dark Knight then waits, knowing full well who else is out in the maze with him. Sure enough, one of the very first Talons appears before Bruce and sentences him to death on behalf of the Owl Court. Batman accepts that he may die one day, maybe even here, but first he wants answers to just one question. This Talon was here in Gotham 400 years ago. Was he here too? Was the Pale Man in Gotham so long ago? We cut to the city streets 3 hours later, and it looks like Batman is being overwhelmed by infected citizens of Gotham. The story flashes back to Batman leaving the city's sewers after his encounter with the owls. Bruce learns that while he was gone, the Joker infiltrated the Batcave, stole a bunch of trophies and memorabilia, and chopped off Alfred's hand when the loyal butler attacked the clown. Alfred will be fine, but using his new collection of Batman's trophies, the Joker has begun a parade in the middle of the city. Bruce realizes that the Joker is taunting him with the answer. If Batman wants to save the city, he'll have to get the Immortality Serum from the clown's own spinal column. With that, Bruce devises a plan and begins to set it in motion. 2 hours later, Batman has gathered his allies to prepare for an assault on the Joker's parade. But there are too many infected citizens in the way, and the 5 allies have no chance of reaching the Joker. But that isn't the whole plan, and Batman reveals that he's using the inverted bat signal to gather some very unlikely allies. Though Batman's friends are mortified, the villains have as much to lose as the heroes, and are actually willing to work together. With an alliance of hero and villain alike, this unlikely band begins their assault on the Joker. The clown looks on, delighted and apparently anticipating this exact move. With a smile, he announces it's time for his best trick of all. It all comes back to this moment. Bruce revisits this time over and over. The Red Hood laughed at him as he careens into a hot vat of chemicals, as if he's been laughing at Batman the entire time, like none of this matters or means anything. Sometimes the Dark Knight is saving him, but that man just laughs harder. Whatever Batman does, whatever he wants, it is always and forever going to come to this. Batman and a squad of his allies and enemies attack the citizens of Gotham infected by the Joker toxin. Our hero told the villains that the mask will unleash a knockout gas if any of them use lethal force on these innocent victims. It's not true, but the bad guys are desperate enough to believe it. Batman orders Ivy to unleash her power, and she creates a barrier around the improvised team. The Dark Knight then calls out to Bane, who knows exactly what is needed of him. The old enemy tosses Batman high above the crowd, and he manages to grab on to the T-Rex statue, which has been defaced by the Joker. The mad clown laughs, and soon the two engage in a fierce battle. Even though he's using a chainsaw, Batman manages to grab a hold of the Joker and attempts to attract the serum from his greatest enemy. But the Joker just laughs. He didn't think it would be that easy, did he? Laughter erupts in the street, loud enough to incapacitate everyone but the Joker, and also begins to shatter everybody's gas mask. The Clown Prince of Crime then unleashes a fatal toxin that will kill all of his attackers. As Batman begins to collapse, the Joker wants to show him something. The cure within the clown's body has been deliberately corrupted, but somewhere, deep underground, at the very bedrock of Gotham, lies the last sample of the Immortality Serum known as Dionysium. The Joker mocks his longtime enemy and begins to unmask Batman. But suddenly, he realizes that he's made a mistake. This isn't Batman, it's Dick Grayson. The clown realizes that the real Batman is playing him as Bruce descends deep below the city of Gotham. With Julia Pennyworth's assistance, Batman is able to find the sample, and they confirm it can be used as a cure for the Joker's toxin. The Dark Knight comments that the Joker must have stumbled across this sample after their last encounter, when he fell down the waterfall. It's the only explanation for how the clown's face and body were healed. Bruce manages to collect a sample before the Joker detonates a bomb in the cavern. As he prepares to escape, he is surprised to find the Joker right behind him, who stabs the hero in his shoulder. Now injured, Batman orders Julia to pull out the serum and leave him behind. He has more to do down here. And so the final battle between Batman and the Joker begins. Batman makes a quick attack, but the Joker is faster than ever before. He mocks the Dark Knight and impales him twice. Is the serum making Joker stronger, or has he always been holding back? But there's no need to be frustrated. Batman just needs to think about all the great times they've had. And smile. The battle rages on, and soon both men are badly injured. Batman manages to use a batarang laced with an immune response blocker that should reduce the Joker's new healing abilities. So the Joker decides to show Batman his cards. Now with one eye blinded, Batman still refuses to relent and manages to bite off a part of the Joker's ear before both men collapse into a bloody heap. The Joker manages to get up and nearly finishes his nemesis off until a stalagmite falls on top of him. Now critically injured, the Joker desperately tries to crawl over to the Dionysium, but Batman stops him and pins him to the ground. Bruce says that he needs to tell his enemy something. He sees it now. He finally understands who the Joker is. He's the Pale Man, who has no need for an immortality formula. Bruce begs his old enemy to forgive him not noticing this earlier, and the Joker, growing desperate, hurriedly forgives him. Bruce thanks him, and a massive pile of rubble crushes the Dionysium. The Joker stops struggling. Now both men will die from their injuries. Joker takes comfort in the fact that at least he managed to break everything in Bruce's life. But Batman says that even this was a failure. The gas mask contained a vapor that will reverse the effects of the fatal toxin. They'll be fine, and Bruce is sure that even the Joker will get out of this okay. Our hero orders that Julia leave him down here to use the formula to save his city. He's going to rest here for a little while with his friend. 2 weeks later, Alfred is cured, but unable to even look outside. He doesn't want to be mended. Batman is gone, and the loyal butler is despondent. Bruce left a note, but it doesn't say much. Julia asks her father if he wants to see it. He says no, but after a moment, agrees to look. Julia asks what the note means, and Alfred explains it. What the Joker never understood about Batman is that there is no happy ending for the Dark Knight. It was pointless to try and tempt him with one. Bruce knew this about Batman more than anyone else. We all know this deep down, but we don't like to admit it. The story of Batman is, and always will be, a tragedy. Batman could live forever, but he doesn't. He dies like the rest of us. But this is also his greatest strength, the thing that makes him truly immortal. Batman taught us to live bravely and inspired us to smile at the void, which is why he left this note, his last message to the world, all contained in a single word. Ha! Hello and welcome to Comic Island. My name is Arden, and this is the complete story of Batman Endgame. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this collection of my coverage for this story arc. I certainly enjoyed reading it and talking about Endgame itself. Overall, this was a fun event. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo have become one of DC's strongest creative teams, and they really are in my eyes at their very best in this story. They work together very well, and both deserve a lot of praise for their efforts here. This is apparently the Joker story that Snyder wanted to tell with Death of the Family, but couldn't, and I believe it. I really enjoyed Endgame on the whole, and would recommend you check it out for yourself. The only thing I do have to say is I would not advertise this to your friends as a Joker story. Don't tell them anything other than it's a good tale about Batman. The best way to enjoy Endgame is to let all the surprises and plot twists reveal themselves throughout this comic. DC did a really good job at keeping this story's spoilers secret throughout their marketing, and between that and selling this comic $1 cheaper than the usual price, this is an easy recommendation to make. I commend DC for doing everything right when it came to this story. They marketed and priced this one perfectly, and, coupled with giving Snyder a very strong sense of creative control, they really did a good job with this one. So I hope you guys like this too. And for those wondering, yes, this actually was the apparent death of Batman. Well, for now at least. Anyone who thinks Batman is truly permanently dead needs their head examined or has just not been paying attention to how the world of comics works. But I've learned through leaked content that the man in this new mech suit is not Bruce Wayne. I enjoyed Endgame greatly, but I am genuinely surprised that this story is going to stay within continuity like this. That makes me excited for what happens next in the Batman story, to the extent that I'm willing to overlook the now infamous bunny ears, and I'm pretty pumped to see where things go from here. Let me know what you think of Batman Endgame in the comments section below. You can also check out our complete videos in one convenient page on our website. And, as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep reading comics.